Welcome to Super Showdowns, the ultimate destination for epic battles and legendary showdowns. Join us as we put iconic superheroes, villains, and mythological figures against each other in thrilling matches of strength, strategy, and skill. Beyond the folds of mortal comprehension, in a dimension where time had no spine and space had no edges, the cosmic balance shivered. In the heart of Marvel's multiverse, something unprecedented occurred. A ripple not of destruction, but of creation from foreign will, unrecorded by eternity, unrecognized by the Watchers, and unjudged by the Living Tribunal. It began as a flicker, a whisper in the astral sea, and spread like ink in water, defying cosmic equations carved into the bones of universes. At first, the Tribunal merely observed. He had no need for haste. His three faces, equity, vengeance, and necessity, saw all things at once, evaluated all contradictions, and ruled not by emotion, but by ultimate cosmic law. Yet this anomaly, this foreign star, grew bolder. It gave birth to its own moral axis, birthed sentient constructs untethered from fate, and rewrote probabilities with the hand of a free god. It was not a Marvel creation. It was Lucifer, Morningstar. Elsewhere, in a plane of his own design, Lucifer stood on the balcony of a freshly birthed cosmos, his third since abandoning hell and his father's silence. The stars here sang his name, nebulae bent into serpentine shapes at his whim. This universe didn't echo Yahweh's word, it echoed his will. It wasn't rebellion, it was freedom. Funny, he said aloud, voice resonant across dimensions. You'd think someone would have knocked by now. The knock came not with sound, but with silence. A tear in space opened like the unblinking eye of a moral god. The skies dimmed, color faded. From that rift stepped a being unlike any Lucifer had encountered in eons. Three golden faces rotated in harmony. A massive, cloaked figure floated, not walked, exuding authority so absolute that nearby galaxies dimmed under the weight of judgment. The Living Tribunal had arrived. Lucifer Morningstar, echoed three voices as one. You are charged with destabilizing the equilibrium of the multiverse. Your unauthorized incursion into the Marvel cosmology violates the sacred symmetry of existence. Lucifer smiled, amused rather than surprised. Violates? My dear Tribunal, I didn't know freedom had a boundary. You introduced free will where it was not sanctioned. You birth constructs with no tether to this realm's spiritual or cosmic architecture. You have disrupted the necessary tension between chaos and order. This is not merely intrusion. It is contamination. Lucifer turned, sipping wine from a chalice that hadn't existed seconds ago. Then perhaps you should take it up with your god, or mine. Oh wait, mine stopped talking. Your divinity is irrelevant here, the Tribunal boomed. In this realm, only the one above all speaks. You were not summoned, you did not ask, and now you will stand before judgment. For the first time, the Morningstar's smile faded. Not in fear, but in focus. I know what you are. Judge, balance, a sentient axis. But what you call judgment is merely rigidity. You call freedom chaos because you've never lived without chains. The Tribunal's faces turned.
Hey you, don't just watch. Subscribe please.
Vengeance glaring now. You were born of rebellion. But here, rebellion is not permission. It is error, and errors must be corrected. The sky above Lucifer's universe crackled. The stars flickered, not because they died, but because the Tribunal turned off their right to shine. Lucifer clapped. Once, instantly the stars reignited, not by permission, but by pure, unshackled will. You dim the light, he said softly, but I am the Morningstar. Elsewhere, cosmic observers watched. Watu the Watcher, cloaked in solemn silence, narrowed, his eyes from the edge of the moon. This is not a conflict of power, he muttered. It is a conflict of principle. In the Silver City, long since abandoned by Lucifer, Michael Demiurgos stirred, sensing the magnitude of what was brewing across realities. Even he, the twin of creation itself, hesitated to follow, and in the Beyond Realm, where abstract concepts drink tea with entropy, even death paused her endless harvest to listen. Lucifer stepped forward. The universe trembled beneath his feet, not out of fear, but because it loved him. His creation acknowledged his divinity with every heartbeat of existence. "I will not stand trial," he said, "because no law authored by a second-hand god has authority over me." The tribunal's central face, Equity, leaned forward, unmoved. "Then you will be measured." And with that, the tribunal raised its hand. Not a weapon, not a spell, but an idea, the concept of law, given form. It pressed forward, and the very edges of Lucifer's universe began to contract. Matter obeyed the tribunal. Reality bowed. But then Lucifer laughed. It wasn't defiance, it was joy. And with a flick of his wrist, he unmade the tribunal's judgment, line by line, stripping the decree of its existential ink. "You weigh me against balance," Lucifer said, wings unfurled and golden eyes glowing. "But I am not weight, I am choice. I am what your multiverse fears the most, a god without purpose, and you cannot judge what refuses to serve." For the first time, the tribunal paused. This was not a criminal. This was a variable, and variables by nature do not yield. In that moment, the fabric of both cosmologies shivered. Across the boundary between realities, watchers, gods, and concepts leaned in, knowing what was coming could reshape both universes. No longer a trial. A battle was coming. One between the unyielding force of balance and the boundless will of freedom. Reality wept as the tribunal raised its golden hand once more, the veil between dimensions shredded like silk. Lucifer Morningstar stepped into position, his wings stretching out in defiance, seven-pronged, blooms of divine origin laced with celestial fire, flickering with every heartbeat of his free-made universe. He stood not in armor, but in authority, sovereign over himself, and in that sovereignty dangerous beyond comprehension. The tribunal acted first. No motion, no warning, just judgment. From the palm of the multiversal judge erupted a column of blinding force, not fire nor magic, but pure cosmic law, written in the language that commands galaxies and silences stars. It wasn't energy, it was order incarnate. The multiverse's self-correcting scream aimed to erase Lucifer from existence, not by killing him, but by unwriting his right to be. Lucifer didn't dodge. He opened his hand and caught it. The torrent burned through layers of his soul, scouring every inch of his history. From the morning he defied the presence to the silent days he walked the void after abandoning hell. It tried to make him forget who he was. It tried to rewrite him into something harmless, but Lucifer held on, wincing, and smiled through the pain. "You think I'm subject to your laws," he said, his voice echoing through the dying constellations. "But I was forged in rebellion. Even my fall wasn't a punishment. It was a beginning." He twisted. The force cracked, and with a scream of 1,000 torn dimensions, Lucifer bent the tribunal's beam of judgment and redirected it toward the tribunal himself. The explosion shattered 4 realities. Time inverted, planets aged backwards, dead civilizations screamed awake, and in the stillness that followed, the tribunal's cloak fluttered in the solar wind. Its vengeance. Face was scorched. Equity was silent. Necessity stared, unblinking. Lucifer approached, bruised but whole, his eyes glowing with burning freedom. "Still want to weigh me?" The tribunal's response was wordless. Reality around them began to twist into the arena of decision, a construct from deep within Marvel's conceptual realm, a space where logic and battle become indistinguishable. Symbols floated in the air, Equations became swords. Laws of physics, morality and identity became weapons. Lucifer hovered above the battleground, amused. "Very well," he whispered. "Let's play by your rules, for now." They clashed. Lucifer wielded imagination, sharpened into blades, constructs made from the raw will to exist beyond obedience. The tribunal countered with conceptual anchors, axioms that wrapped around Lucifer like chains, trying to impose structure. The battle broke across levels. On the physical plane, stars died and were reborn with every blow. In the metaphysical, they rewrote each other's symbols, Lucifer trying to blur the tribunal's concept of judgment, the tribunal trying to strip Lucifer of his self-authority. In the ideational realm, where stories themselves fought, the tribunal became all judges ever known, and Lucifer became every rebel who ever refused fate. Lucifer faltered. Once, the tribunal unleashed a strike wrapped in necessity, a concept that even Lucifer couldn't deny, the inevitability of consequence. It shattered Lucifer's left wing, tore into his chest, and nearly erased his universe. But in that moment, Lucifer laughed again. "Your greatest flaw," he said through blood and burning light, "is that you think necessity applies to a being who chooses meaning for himself." He raised a finger and spoke. Just one word, a name, not a spell, not a curse, just a name of power, one he forged in secret within his universe, a name that represented the unchained idea. The word pulsed with divine mockery and liberation. It wasn't magic, it was truth. The tribunal staggered. Its three faces began to turn on one another. Equity questioning vengeance, vengeance defying necessity. A glitch in the structure of absolute authority. Lucifer seized the moment. With one final motion, he soared upward, forming in his hands the demiurgic flame, a fragment of the power once reserved for the act of creation itself, now weaponized. He didn't hurl it, he placed it inside the tribunal. "I am not your opposite," Lucifer whispered, almost tender. "I'm your liberation." The tribunal screamed, not in pain, but in uncertainty. The fire spread through its golden form, not burning it, but unbinding it. The rigid structure of multiversal law began to ripple. The tribunal's three faces flickered in chaos until they collapsed into silence. And the giant fell, a titan of cosmic order brought low, not by raw strength, but by an idea it was never designed to endure. True, ungoverned will. Lucifer knelt, breathing heavily. His body was torn, his wings limp, his universe flickering in and out of cohesion. But he had won, and as the dust settled, the tribunal's form crumbled, not into dust, but into conceptual pieces, retreating into the structure of the Marvel multiverse, awaiting reconstruction. Lucifer turned to the sky, bloody but unbeaten. No chains, no throne, just choice.